Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the last week of Unit 1. This is it for the unit, the toolbox of writing skills. We've gone through basically everything, and from here we're going to get into more specific units on genres and forms. So we'll be getting into poetry and into literary fiction and also literary nonfiction. So I figured that I wanted to end the unit with something fun, and so I've come up with an activity that I'm really hoping you're going to enjoy, and most of today's video is just me explaining what I'm looking for. So basically, my inspiration for this was an idea I once had for a website, which never panned out because I never got around to trying it out. But I thought it'd be really fun to have some sort of website where people write a story together, and the way it would work would be everybody posts the next 100 words of the story, what they think the next 100 words should be, and then everybody votes on whose idea they think is the best, and then the one with the most votes would end up being the next 100 words, and then you write the next 100 words, and so on. And without knowing exactly where the story is going or when it is going to end. That was my inspiration. That's kind of what we're working on this week. So I have started 3 different stories about 4 different main characters, and your job is to carry those stories on, specifically looking at dialogue for the because that's what the first lesson of the week is about. It's about using dialogue effectively in your work. So that means 2 things. It means, first of all, writing it correctly, which to me, writing dialogue is a pretty simple task. It's something that I remember learning about way back in elementary school, and it's just a matter of keeping track of language conventions, with the punctuation that you're supposed to use, and the attribution, or I like to call it the speaker tag. It tells you who's saying what. Whenever you're using an attribution before, how does that look? When you're using it after, how does that look? When it comes in the middle, how does that look? So Mr. McLaughlin said, comma, quotation marks, I hope that this unit is going to be fun, period, quotation marks, as opposed to putting that at the end or putting it in the middle somehow. So that it means that, but it also means, and this is the more important part, as far as being a writer goes, because that first part shouldn't take you very long to figure out. It's why to use dialogue, because everything else in literary fiction or in a piece of literature, there should be a purpose for everything. It's not just randomly thrown in. It's not just thrown in for the sake of having it there because you're supposed to have X amount of dialogue in your writing. That's not what the purpose is. So there's a video that I included, and actually the video that I wanted to use, if you want to do a search on your own, the problem was that the language in it was a little bit too colorful. To get a PG-13 rating, you're allowed 1 F word in a movie or a TV show. This one had 2, so I decided not to use it. But if you do a Google search or a YouTube search on any of these concepts, you'll find lots of great instruction, some bad ones too, but lots of great instructions, instructional videos on how to do these things. So I've got a video for you, which it's a pretty good one, explaining the purpose of it, the idea of advancing the plot through dialogue, or characterizing through dialogue, or showing as opposed to telling through dialogue. So anyways, that's really, I think, the more important of the 2 concepts when it comes to dialogue. So you're going to be learning how to use dialogue, and you're going to be incorporating it. But it's not just dialogue. To write effective dialogue, it's part of the story, so it involves some narration. So what I'm imagining these threads are going to look like, because you're going to be using the discussion forum, and everybody is going to be able to post 20 to 60 words. And then you have to wait until someone else posts. You can't just post a whole bunch in a row. You have to wait till somebody else posts after you, which complicates the matter, and I'll get to that a little bit later. What I'm imagining is this thread is going to contain dialogue, and then some narration, and then some dialogue, and some narration, some dialogue, and so on, just like an actual novel would, or a short story, like a piece of literary fiction would. So when you're ready to post, these are your options. Is you can make a post that is mostly narration, or all narration. You can make a post that's mostly dialogue, or all dialogue. It can be a combination of both. And there's 3 stories, and I'm expecting you to post every day. To get level 3 this week, I want to see you on there every day. I'm like forcing you to get on there, because the more writers we have working on these stories, the better these stories are going to get. And I'm hoping that once the stories get rolling, people are going to get into it. Now, the one complication that I definitely foresee happening is, depending on when your e-learning block is, you might be online with like 8 other people. So you go to like this thread and you're like, okay, I'm going to write this next, and you're typing away and whatnot. But by the time you post yours, somebody else has posted theirs. All right? And so then in that case, I would like you to please do the honorable thing, which would be, I think you can delete your post. I'm hoping that you can. If not, I'm going to be going on every day and trying to sort things out. I've never done this before. I'm hoping it's going to work. It's kind of an experiment. We'll see. But basically what I'm looking for you to do is to like make your posts quickly, so that this isn't going to happen. So you see where the story left off, you read through, you see where we're at, you make your quick post. The reason why I said 20 to 60 words is because I don't want you writing too much, because it'll take you too long. All right, so your post might simply be like, if there's an exchange of dialogue going on between 2 characters, your post might be like one character saying something and then another character replying to it, and that would be 20 to 60 words. Or it might just be like a break, a narrative pause in the dialogue exchange between the characters. You'll figure it out, all right? So anyways, I want you to kind of drop everything else that you're doing and to jump in and to be part of this activity. Next week, I'm going to be pausing the course, basically to give people a chance to get caught up before we move on. Kind of like reading week in university, which I believe last week was reading week at most universities. So reading weeks are there to give students a chance to catch up after they're behind. I figured now at this point we've had a lot of students drop the course because it was, wasn't what they were expecting. It was too rigorous from, compared to what they're hoping it was going to be. And I think we're down to the people who are actually serious about becoming better writers. So rather than having everybody being behind in the course, if you're currently behind, because some people it took them longer to get through the orientation, whatever, I'm going to be giving everybody a break. And people who are ahead in the course, that's awesome. You're going to have like a week pretty much to, I guess, like to work on other coursework that you have for other classes and things. But for everybody else, you'll get a chance to get caught up. All right, and then we'll move forward together in the poetry unit, which is going to be the next one as a group. All right, now there's not that there's going to be nothing to do next week. The last 2 lessons in the unit are on character and on setting. And in order to evaluate your understanding of those things, what I'm going to do is, it's probably going to be next week, next Monday. I'm going to be posting a quiz, and the quiz is going to be based on the story that we generate this week. So you're going to have to understand character, and you're going to have to understand setting, and trust me, there are more to those things than you realize. So make sure that you actually do go through the lesson content, and then you're going to be answering it. So that'll be like a one-day thing though. So make sure that you watch the announcements to see when the quiz is going to be. It'll be available for one particular day, and then after that it's going to be closed. And so you don't want to miss it, because it's going to be worth 2 assignments. All right, so that is where we are at this week. So if you are still working on your monologue or whatever, I want you to like put that on the back burner, knowing that you're going to be having a week to get caught up. I want you to go ahead, and I want you to be part of this. And there's going to be lots of spare time. I mean, it's not going to take you 75 minutes to post 3 times. So you'll have time to work on whatever else you're working on. But I definitely want you to be part of this because, like I said, the more writers we have working on it, the better the stories are going to be. And I am very interested in seeing how these are going to turn out. Make sure you take a look at the lesson content to see the biographies of our 4 characters. I tried to make them as interesting as possible, tried not to be cliche. It's impossible to not be entirely cliche, I know, but I try to be to make them as interesting as I could in the time I had, which was Saturday, because I don't have anything to do on Saturday. My life is basically being a writer's craft teacher. So anyways, that is it. Have a great week. Be in touch if you have any questions or need any help.